Morning and welcome back to the Morning Huddle, your daily dose of change experience. I'm your host, Stef Simich, and today is Thought Leader Thursday. Typically, Thought Leader Thursday will be the day that we bring in a guest and they talk about the theme that we're going over for the week. Well, because this week is getting to know who the Morning Huddle is, so who I am as your host, Stef Simich, I thought for Thought Leader Thursday, I could share with you my biggest blunder as a boss to hopefully inspire you to know that you are going to make mistakes. And if you've already made blunders, you're going to make more. So the biggest thing as a leader is to learn from those blunders and help that make you be a better leader moving forward. So, to set the scene, I'm a director of operations in the healthcare industry. This is in May of 2020. I had put all my team members on furlough except for a small handful due to, we could only provide emergency services. And as it's May 2020, I'm starting to bring back my team little by little as we're starting to open our doors to serve more patients. So this one team member at this practice that we, reopened, unfortunately, they really struggled with the industry as a whole. They did not know the treatment planning and things like that. And before COVID, they had a front office team member who could really take the brunt of that load while they were learning. Well, when we reopened, they didn't have that individual there, and it was hard. And they were struggling navigating through what it looked like to be working in COVID, struggling with PPE, and then just the day to day operations of the job, not being fully trained yet. They were struggling. So when they called in sick a few days after we reopened, I went into two panic modes. One, oh my God, do they have COVID? Or is my team going to get sick from coming back to work? Do we not have them safe? What do I do? And then my other mindset was, gosh, this must have been really hard for her to come back to. And I hope that we can partner with her to overcome whatever stress she is feeling. So, because those are the two reasons why I figured she could be out sick, COVID, which we knew very little about, or stress, I wanted to ask about her symptoms. Because if they were COVID symptoms, I needed to be aware to protect my team, protect this individual, and figure out what our next steps were. If it was stress, then I needed to figure out as the leader how to provide them with the support that they needed. Well, I'm texting, I'm calling, I'm trying to figure out what the symptoms are, and I am getting ghosted. So, what's happening? I am, of course, thinking I'm the problem. At this point, I'm not thinking it's sick from COVID. I'm thinking I didn't set up this team member. They don't have the support they need, they don't have the tools they need. Oh my God, I am failing them. And so, 6 hours is going by. I'm texting with their practice doctor, trying to get a better understanding of what's going on there. Did I miss something? What's going on? And this individual I had gotten to know pretty decently over COVID. During the COVID furlough process, I had Zoom calls with my teams where we played drinking games and we had fun Zoom cahoots games, and we just, I did those little initiatives that I could to build and support a culture of connectivity, even with us being apart from each other. So I had felt pretty connected with this team member, even though she was newer on my team, because we had talked so much over that time. So I was thinking, okay, man, what would I want? If I was really stressed and I didn't know how to tell my boss I was stressed, what would I want in this situation? Well, for me, I'd want someone to tell me it's okay that I'm stressed and to, just lean in, just do what I could. But it's okay to be stressed. And then, I would want maybe my boss to take some of the stress off of me. I'm not sure. So without any identifier from this team member that this was appropriate, I picked up a 6 pack of seltzers and found her address in ADP and did what I called a welfare check, but a welfare check should never have alcohol for those of you doing it. So that was my big first mistake. So I got the 6 pack of Celsius, showing up to the house, and all of a sudden, and I thought this was like such a grand gesture, right? Like it was going to be such an like TV, oh my God, this person cares about me gesture. Well, when I knock on the door, the ex answers, and apparently it was a super toxic ex abusive relationship, and my team member had just gotten away from that person. So now I'm coming with alcohol saying that that individual is not at work and I'm worried about them. And so, of course, the crazy ex is now reaching out to my team member. The team member is like, what the hell is going on? And overall, just feeling, just could not believe that their boss had just showed up to their ex's house with a 6-pack of seltzers. So I get a call from HR the next day, not surprising, and the total appropriate thing for that team member to do, because that team member said, "Hey, is it usual to have my boss show up at my address in ADP with a 6-pack of seltzer?" To which, of course, HR said no. So then I had the conversation with HR and trying to figure all of this out together. And the reality is, because I wanted to be Amy Poehler in Mean Girls. I wanted to be the cool boss. I'm not like other bosses. You can talk to me. Um, that's not what that team member needed. To be honest, she probably just needed that day. And sure, could she just have texted me at any one of my communications calls, text, emails, and said that she needed that day? She could have. She could have. But the reality is, as the boss, I could have just given her the one freaking day and not made it about how I didn't set her up for success and I didn't do what I needed to do for her. Because the reality is, and what I didn't know, is during that furlough process, she'd been traveling back to her home state, going back to her parents. She had been struggling with this breakup I knew nothing about and feeling lost. She came from a very specific industry that was black and white, coming to a healthcare industry that is every color under the sun, and not as definitive as what she was in before. All of these things, with COVID, with being away from her family, with the crappy boyfriend, with all of these things, like, she had so much going on that had nothing to do with who I was as her boss and me setting her up for success. And if I could have just sat back and just let the day have gone, just let the one day have processed, she probably still would have been in, still be successful in that role today. But I didn't. And so she went to HR. I had the conversation with HR. I had the professional appropriate apology with her and talked through, how I crossed the lines and that would not happen again. And unfortunately, about a week later, she gave me her notice because she just couldn't, the violation of trust was too great for her to overcome. And I don't blame her one bit. And I learned from there that it's not about me. So when the team member is coming late, and if they're coming in late, it's not like they hate the job. Most times, it's not that they hate the job and it's a big fu. It's they've got child and transportation things that are going on outside of you. So ask the question: "Hey, I noticed that you're late. Is there something that's going on that's preventing you from coming to work on time?" That's a very different conversation than, "You're being disrespectful to me by not showing up on time," which I've heard that multiple times. So, it's important to understand that your team members' behaviors, they're not always about you. And to be honest, unless you're a toxic as fuck, I don't want to say F words. If you're toxic, if you're toxic as a leader, the thing, unless you're toxic as a leader, it's not about you. And if you are toxic as a leader, you're probably not listening to the show. So, you know, give yourself grace to know that sometimes people's reactions have very little to do with you. And you probably are setting them up for success. And you probably are giving them the information that they need, but they're processing things. So, give your team 24 hours to process things. Have an open door conversation, have an open door policy where you guys are connecting with each other. And the biggest thing is just remember that it's not all about you. Very rarely it is. And our teams are making decisions. Our team members are making decisions because they have an entire world going on that has nothing to do with us as the leaders. So know and be confident and be okay with the fact that you're going to make blunders as a boss, but always challenge yourself to learn and grow from them. So today, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, this has been the Morning Huddle, your daily dose of change experience. I'm your host, Stef Simich, signing off with a reminder that change starts with each and every one of us. Are you ready to experience the change?